Well, hello and good evening, and welcome to the Caithness Amateur Dramantics Society. And tonight I'm going to do another Does Age Matter, where we compare two different whiskies from the same distillery and see how much effect age has on our tasting of the whiskey. Tonight, I'm going to look at two Glen Scotia from Campbelltown's uh, output, and we're going to look two closer together than we have perhaps in these Does Age Matter tastings before. We've got a Glen Scotia 15-year-old at 46%, and a Glen Scotia Icons of Campbelltown, release number one, the Mermaid, 12-year-old with a Palo Cortado finish at 54.1%. So this 15-year-old Glen Scotia is was released in 2015 as part of the redesign for their age, and they use specially selected American oak casks to age this expression. And it's got lovely tears in it, this whiskey. It's a nice copper colour. We'll try the nose. And it's a nice tart lemony note with apples and a hint of physalis. It's a fresh onset, mellowed by light vanilla. And it then develops lots of tiny complexities that are much less common. Polished brassware, licorice, ginger, and bitter almond. And there's a very subtle iodine tingle as well. There's lots of rich fruit here, apricot jam, satsuma segments, and apple pie. There's wafts of sea breeze and baking spices. And it's a concentrated sweet fruit, very jammy. Red apples, oranges, vanilla, nuts, ginger spice, and cinnamon. And then after a while, there's canned apricots. And there's a slight salty water there, briny, with some background dryness. We'll try them out. Vanilla and fruit with ginger and cinnamon, which bring a subtle dryness to it. Uh, Nutty with spices, cinnamon, ginger, and pepper. It's quite nutty with spices, cinnamon, ginger, and pepper, salt and sweet oranges, oak spices with a gentle dryness. It's got quite a robust mouthfeel given the moderate ABV. And there's a sweet malt mixed with a firm grassy note, herbal bitterness and lemon peels. And there's a gingery warmth alongside toffee sweetness. Cider apples, a hint of white rum and oak char, and it gets tangy towards the end. It's a coastal malt for sure. And then you get a touch of salted caramel as it fades. And the finish is quite long with continuing spice, lingering sweet fruit and heavy doses of oak spices, honey sweetness and salty licorice. I'm going to try 5 drops of water in this. And yeah, you do get a nice Scotch mist on this. And the vanilla increases. But it's almost as if you've sawn through new wood. There's a bit of pineapple, uh, citrus, but not acidic citrus. It opens nicely on the nose. It's still robust despite the lowered ABV. There's a sort of burnt egg, a custard tart note that starts to come through. Sweet, fruity, and smoky notes. I'm trying them out. You get vanilla, spices. It's sweet and warm, but without alcohol. The finish is still quite long. Sweet, toffee, confectionery, vanilla, honey, caramel, there's spice, ginger, pepper, mint, espresso, chili, and maritime, sea salt and brine. And ripe fruit, red apples, it's got a bit of wininess there. And you get that woodiness, the oak tannins, and toasted malt, and a little bit of herbal. So, for the Glen Scotia 15-year-old, matured in American oak casks, uh, I would say I kept getting this Springbank for beginners idea. But I'm not sure it is for beginners. It's characterful, with some pungency and nice coastal notes. It's lighter than Springbank, but certainly not to be overlooked. I'll cleanse my palate. So to compare this, we're actually going down in age this time. Usually we go up in age when we do these Does Age Matter? But this is the Glen Scotia Icons of Campbelltown release number one. The Mermaid 12-year-old Palo Cortado finish at 54.1%. Uh, so, about the icons of Campbelltown. I visited Campbelltown about 3 or 4 years ago and visited Springbank Distillery. I didn't actually get into Glen Scotia. It was just towards the end of lockdown, and or it was at the end after lockdown, and things had just not really fully opened up. So it's a wonderful place to visit, Campbelltown, as is the Kintyre Peninsula. But at the heart of Campbelltown stands the Market Cross, which was carved as far back as 1380. And it was moved from a nearby churchyard to serve as the centre of the town's trade shortly after its founding in 1607. And the cross features five figures with the mermaid at the top, which proves to be the perfect first inspiration for the Icons of Campbelltown series. And it's a celebration of the Campbelltown community that ensured Glen Scotia prevailed through history. And taking their inspiration from the Campbelltown Market Cross, uh, which is a historic community meeting point for celebration and storytelling, with a series of saints and beasts carved into its stone face. And each release of the Icons of Campbelltown will recall a tale of local community spirit, and it's partnered with the celebrated artist Joel Holtzman, who's worked with Lucasfilm, Marvel, Disney, and Macmillan to bring each of the icons to life. And in release number one, which is considered a subtly maritime drama, they recall the community sighting of a mermaid on their local shores. And to pay homage to this special event, they have selected an equally special Palo Cortado sherry cask finishing to complement this unpeated coastal and saline cask strength spirit. So let's see what we have here. And it's beautiful tears. And you can see it's taken on some of the colour of the Palo Cortado cask. Try the nose. It's reassuringly Glen Scotia. The Palo Cortado hasn't taken over. There's lingering notes of dried seaweed alongside slivers of citrus peel and Greek yogurt, touches of wet rope, barley husks, porridge, and melted butter. There's a few baked apples and walnuts too, and sweet flavours of toffee, cinnamon, and chocolate with fresh sea spray and orange peel. And there's pine needles, young walnuts, and a blast of oak, a little bit of brine, seaweed, forest berries, red currant jam, tobacco, and an old leather jacket. We'll try them out. It's thick and creamy, with molasses, Brazil nuts, toffee, and a distinct salty character, and a somewhat creamy mouthfeel. And the palo cortado is more evident on the mouth than it was in the nose. There's plenty of dried fruits, some orange zest, and cigar boxes, and a sliver of leather and gentle wood spices, and toasted nuts and manuka honey, and some umami. Sweet, fruity, currant jelly, cherry jam, a bit of oak, leather, candied, then fruit again, orange peel, cherry syrup, slightly earthy with a pinch of salt and pepper. And the finish is long and nutty with a sherry tang. It's quite savoury. A pinch of salt, some fennel, slightly dry, semi-sweet, uh, gooseberry juice. It's warming, scratching the palate a bit. I'll try 5 drops of water in this. Oh, what a Scotch mist in this one. So on the nose of this, there's a hint of burnt orange, some caramel, and for the first time with these 2 whiskies, a bit of funk. It's an inviting nose. Try them out. And with water, it's got a pleasant mouthfeel. You can almost chew it. It's got a lovely taste too, some sweetness, but cut through by a dry, dirty citric note. It's, but nothing here calls to mind mermaids, and it's not especially maritime. It's got a lovely aftertaste to finish. It's like astringency, but it's a long finish. It makes you lick your lips and want maybe to try some more. So this was a gorgeous dram. Well worth having a bottle of this in the cupboard. It's a proper dram which makes you savour it. And I'd be strongly tempted to buy a whole bottle of this. But I have more Glen Scotia than I could possibly drink, and certainly more Springbank than I can drink at the moment. This one is easy drinking, even at such strength. And the sour, sweet fruit notes reminded me more of Madeira than Palo Cortado. It's an interesting whiskey, this one. So Does age matter with Glen Scotia? Well, in this case, I think the higher ABV and the Palo Cortado finish, which they have done to perfection here, make the younger Glen Scotia win out for me here. Thanks for listening. See you again.